Hello, friends. In 2005, a popular Hollywood film was released, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Although there are many horror films in Hollywood, there was something special about this film. Look at the poster of this film. What's written? Based on a true story. It was based on a true incident. It was based on the story of Anneliese Michel, one of the most famous exorcism incidents in the history of the world. Anneliese Michel was a girl born in 1952 in West Germany. When she was 16 years old, she suddenly fainted in school. Her friends report that when she fainted for a minute or two, she was in a strange trance-like state. When she returned home that evening, she went to sleep in her room. Sometime during the night, she woke up suddenly. She said that she felt as if there was a heavy weight on her body. When she looked around, she realized that she had wet the bed. But for the next few weeks and months, nothing happened. Until a year later. Once again, a similar incident happened. And this time, Anneliese's parents felt that she should be taken to a doctor. The Sun newspaper reported that when the parents went to the doctor, neither the doctor nor the neurologist found anything wrong with Anneliese. But then, about a year later, in February 1970, Anneliese got tuberculosis, because of which she had to be admitted to the hospital. This time, when she was lying on the hospital bed, Anneliese said that she saw strange colors and heard voices. The doctor said that she has temporal lobe epilepsy, due to which she was having seizures. Now, it is not a rare disease. More than 50 million people in the world suffer from it. But Anneliese's case was quite unique. A few days later, Anneliese started having dangerous hallucinations. She started seeing things that no one else could see. She heard voices that no one else could hear. She had some voices in her head that kept telling her that she was cursed. Because of this, she went into a depression. But this was just the beginning. Catholic Christians often kneel while doing a type of prayer. The Telegraph newspaper reported that Anneliese started doing this about 600 times a day, to the extent that her knee ligaments were damaged. Then once she went under a table and hid. And for 2 consecutive days, she started barking like a dog. One day she ate a spider, another day she ate a piece of coal, and once she ate a bird. Her parents were not able to understand what was happening. When they could not get any answer from the doctors, they went to a bishop and asked him to do an exorcism for Anneliese. Exorcism means to take out an evil spirit from someone's body by religious procedures. In India, it is called Jad Puke. It was said that 6 demons were residing in Anneliese's body. German dictator Adolf Hitler, Roman Emperor Nero, Judas, a disciple of Jesus who had deceived Jesus. 4th, Cain, son of Adam, who had killed his brother Abel. 5th, Lucifer, the main demon in Christian theology. And the 6th, Valentin Fleischmann, a German Catholic priest who lived in the 1500s, who was expelled from the church due to his alcoholism and a murder charge. As the exorcism on Anneliese Michel progressed, it's said that the demons residing within her started talking. The real audio clip of this exorcism is still available online. Anneliese Michel's case is one of the most bizarre cases in the history of the world. But this is not the only one. 10 years ago, an American man was found unconscious in his hotel room. When he was taken to the hospital and he regained consciousness, he started speaking Swedish. When his ID card and other documents were checked, his name was found to be Michael Boatwright. But when he was asked his name, he said that his name was Johan Ek. How did an American man start speaking Swedish after becoming unconscious? How did Anneliese Michel start making these demonic sounds? Did a demonic soul really enter these bodies? Let's understand these mysteries from a scientific perspective in this video. In English, it is called demonic possession. In Hindi, it is known as a ghost taking control of your body. The real reason behind all this is multiple personality disorder. You must have heard of this disorder somewhere. If not, then you may have seen it in films. Apparitchik, Karthik calling Karthik, Fight Club, or Psycho. As the name suggests, multiple personality disorder, it means that a person has multiple personalities. But how is this possible? To understand this, we need to stop using this name, because now this mental condition has been given a new name. Dissociative identity disorder. You know what an identity is? Identity refers to your true self. So what can dissociation of identity mean? Famous poet Nita Fazli once wrote, "Every man has 10 to 20 men inside him. Whomever you want to see, make sure you see them more than once." This poetry has a deeper psychological meaning, because first of all, you are the person you are in reality. But secondly, you are the person you think you are. Do you understand the difference? If a person is a fool, he may still feel that he is a smart and intelligent person. In psychology, a specific term is used for this, the Dunning-Kruger effect. This effect is seen when a person overestimates his ability even though he has a severe lack of knowledge and skill. There is a saying in Hindi, a fool thinks of himself as the most intelligent being. Being a fool or being intelligent is only one aspect. This dissociation of identity can happen even when a person feels that he is good at heart, but in reality he is selfish. Or it can be the other way around. A person may be really good at something, but he may feel that he is not good enough. So number one, the person you actually are. Number two, the person you feel you are. This is your self-image. Number three is the concept of the ideal self, the person you want to be. This depends on every person as well as your social conditioning. For some people, their ideal self can be a person like Elvish Yadav. But Dr. Vikas Divyakirti tells his son that the watchman of the apartment protects them and is older than the child. So the child should greet them respectfully. So what will be the ideal self for this child? To be humble and knowledgeable. Now, if a person's identity 2 and 3 are vastly different, then his confidence will be quite low. Low self-esteem. But if, on the other hand, if a person's identity 2 and 3 are quite similar, then their self-esteem and confidence will be high. Because this depends on one question only. How much do you like and accept yourself? Are you like Geet from the film Jab We Met? Or are you a person who doesn't like himself at all? Self-image, ideal self, and self-esteem. Psychologist Carl Rogers says that our self-concept is made up of these three things. And these three parts depend on numerous things. Our habits, the environment around us, the things we are proud of, the things we feel embarrassed about, our regrets, our secrets, the things we fear, our desires, our fantasies. It is possible for a person to look very happy from the outside, but inside, he may be feeling sad and lonely. Like Kaifi Azmi once wrote, "What sorrows are you hiding behind your bright smile?" A person may look very religious to you, but in reality, he might not believe in God. A person may seem very respectful and humble to others while he is angry and frustrated with his boss or a family member. Biologically, it is also possible that someone have be born with a male body, but he may feel as if he is a woman. Or someone may biologically be female, but she feels that she is a man. So what I want to say here is that our identities in our minds are very complex. Sometimes our multiple identities dissociate into different personalities. These different personalities are known as alters. A person can have 2 alters, 4, 5, even 20 alters. There is the famous case of Kim Noble, who has more than 100 different personalities. Each of them have a different name, different age, different gender identities, different temperaments, different body language, and even different memories stored in the mind. Usually, to some extent, even in many normal people, different personalities can be seen. Like there are some people, when they spend time with their friends, their behavior and body language are quite different as compared to when they spend time with their parents. The way of talking, emotional tolerance, everything changes depending upon who they are with. But in this disease, this harmless little habit goes to an extreme level. Not only your body language and behavior, but your name changes too. Your age changes. In the case of some people, different memories start forming in their mind. It's almost as if their minds are divided into different compartments. In these cases, there is a main personality that is seen in people for the maximum percentage of time. This is called the host identity or primary identity. Usually it is the personality, the name you were born with. But in some cases, an alter can also become your host identity. Like in the case of Kim Noble, her alter Patricia became her primary host identity. Kim's daughter was 14-year-old then. When she takes care of her daughter as a mother, she doesn't see herself as Kim. Instead, she sees herself as Patricia. Other than Kim and Patricia, she has other identities too, like Judy, Julie, Abby, Dawn, Ken, Bonnie, Haley. In 2017, the Hollywood film Split was released. It showed the same thing. When Kim and her daughter went to the Oprah Winfrey show, they were filmed twice. Once when they were at home, Kim's personality was of Patricia's then, and when they came on the show, Her personality was of the 15-year-old Judy. There is nothing to worry about because, as you see in films, the personality doesn't change suddenly and in a dramatic manner. In fact, most of the time, if people don't know about it, they might not be able to notice it. One interesting thing that we see here is whenever this personality switch happens, the memory of the other personality's actions or experiences disappear. So often, throughout her life, she may forget her keys somewhere. Sometimes she orders pizza but then forgets that she had ordered it. Sometimes she finds her car mysteriously parked miles away. One day, something disturbing happened. The personality switch happened while she was driving. Her 15-year-old Julie's personality came on while driving, and this led to an accident. A person who suffers from this dissociative identity disorder does not know that he is suffering from it. He just knows that he has frequent memory losses or he does not have a proper sense of time. They can't remember where they were a few hours ago when a different personality had taken over. When Kim was told that she suffers from DID, Patricia and many other personalities refused to believe it. They thought it was strange, that it was not possible. She had to undergo therapy for 6 years. Only then could she accept that it was happening to her. Once she understood this, gradually the pieces of the puzzle started falling into place, and she started to understand why she was losing time again and again and why there were so many gaps in her memory. With the help of psychotherapy, eventually Patricia started to accept her condition. But what is the solution to this? The solution is the opposite of dissociation: reintegration. Communication should be established between different alters so that identities can be united into one again. When this article was written, as of that time, her identity was not yet fully integrated. She had 3 to 4 switches every day. But with time, she understood the triggers that were changing her personality. For example, whenever food was served, Judy's personality would come out. Whenever she went to take a bath, she would be overtaken by the spirit of water. By understanding these triggers, she started managing her DID system. But on the other hand, Annelies Michael, whose story I told you in the beginning of the video, was not that fortunate. She had to suffer through 67 exorcisms. In a span of 10 months after that, she passed away. What was the reason behind her death? Some people say that evil and bad spirits form negative energy. And as a solution to this, they often talk about positive energy. Often you are told ways to harness the positive energy of the universe to fight against negative energy. Similar to this is the idea of law of attraction, which has been discussed in the book The Secret, the book Alchemist, and in a dialogue in the film Shanti Om. Is there any truth to this? Many of you ask me to talk about this topic. That is why I would like to present to you this e-book on Dhruv Rathi Academy, The Power of Universe. The researcher of this video and my friend Vijay Daya has written this book on the law of attraction, aura, and such other mysteries. I wrote the foreword of this book, and in my opinion it is a useful book, because it will teach you something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. This is probably the first book in which philosophy, spirituality, and self-help has been explained from a rational and scientific mindset. If you are interested in such topics, then I would definitely suggest you read it. It has only 77 pages, and it will take you about 1-1.5 hours to read it. And it is at a very affordable price. You can buy it for just Rs59. For this, you can scan this QR code, or you can find the link in the description below. It is available in Hindi and English versions. The Power of Universe and Brahman Ki Shakti. Now, getting back to the topic, Annelies' death was not due to any demon or negative energy. She died due to starvation and acute dehydration. That is, she didn't have any access to food or water. She was so light that she weighed only 32 gig. When the news of her death spread all over the world, it became a national scandal. Law agencies started getting involved here. They saw that Annelies was actually kept under psychiatric care ever since she was 16. The physicians who were treating her said that she had a positive response to medication and therapy. They said that Annelies suffered from 3 mental illnesses. First, temporal lobe epilepsy. I have already talked about it. Second, anorexia nervosa. This is a mental illness in which people have distorted perceptions about their weight. Healthy people think that they are gaining weight and becoming fat while their body is actually healthy. And because of this, they keep on eating less and less, and gradually they reach abnormally low body weight. And the third disease she had was hyper-religious personality disorder, a condition in which a person's religious beliefs become so intense that they report experiencing mystical experiences. They start having delusions about spirituality. Such people often become obsessed with unholy things. Their regular thoughts are always about whether their actions are a sin or not. The reason behind this are said to be Annelie's parents, who were extremely religious. Annelie's childhood was an extremely religious upbringing. This is why Anneliese felt that there were demons in her. And sometimes she would call those demons Hitler, or Judas, or Lucifer. This is very obvious because had it been any Hindu, Muslim, or atheist who was suffering from the same problem, these names would not have come to his mind. Anneliese only knew the names of Lucifer, Judas, and Cain because she was taught about these names in her childhood. A professor at Würzburg University said that when all of this added up, Anneliese was facing a heavy psychic disturbance. The district attorney said that had she received medical assistance at the right time, her death could have been prevented. This is why charges were filed against her parents and 2 Roman Catholic priests who did this exorcism on her. These 4 people were also convicted for negligent homicide. Now you might be thinking about one question, is that many of us go through irrational thoughts, internal conflicts, regrets, fears, fear of different things, repressed desires, superstitions, and other negative emotions. But not everyone did. Why is this? What is the difference between those who have this illness and those who, despite all these things, do not suffer from this disease? What is the root cause of this dissociative identity disorder? When the data of people suffering from DID was compiled in the US, Canada, and Europe, it was found that in approximately 90% of the cases, the people who suffer from this disorder have been victims of some form of abuse in their childhood. The abuse could have been physical, emotional, or sexual. It can be repetitive or it can be only for a short period of time. But because of this abuse, there is trauma. It leaves a mental wound in your brain. And because of this trauma, your brain dissociates. It may sound a little weird, but it is true. Dissociation is a coping mechanism of the body. To overcome the injury to your mind, your brain splits into different personalities. Obviously, this method of overcoming challenges is not very safe. It is a serious mental illness. Because of this, people may fall into stress, anxiety, and severe depression. Because of this, people may become addicted to drugs and alcohol. And in many cases, they become violent against themselves or others. Any traumatic event that happened to a person in their childhood, it often gets drilled into their unconscious mind. And in most cases, these victims don't even remember what happened to them. You may find the treatment a little strange, but when these patients are treated using psychotherapy, the therapist tries to remind them of that traumatic event. Because if you want to reintegrate the scattered identities to make sure that the patient has a single identity, then whatever happened to them, the acceptance and forgiveness of that traumatic event is important. The solution to this is to remember the past and accept it. Now, dissociation is something that in severe cases transforms into the mental illness DID. But its mild cases can be seen in many people, as I told you at the beginning of this video. Chances are, every other person watching this video has experienced a dissociative episode at least once in their life. Some studies suggest that 74% of people have experienced at least one dissociative episode in their life. Some studies conducted in America claim that this number is around 50%. This is a huge number. Almost half of the world's population has experienced it at least once in their life. But don't get confused. It is not black and white. You will either experience it or you won't. This is a spectrum. Just like there is a spectrum of democracy and dictatorship, similarly, there is a spectrum of dissociation. There can be many cases ranging from moderate to mild. But only in extreme cases does this cause the mental illness DID. Examples of mild cases can be dissociative amnesia. You must have heard this dialogue in some movie or the other. I don't remember what happened after this. When people suffer from a traumatic episode, their mind dissociates that episode from time. So they forget many details about it. This type of dissociation is called dissociative amnesia. Apart from this, there can be a dissociative fugue. I talked about an example of this at the beginning of the video, Michael Boatwright's story. An American man who started speaking Swedish after fainting. Do you know how this happened? There was a simple reason behind it. He had spent a lot of time in Sweden. Swedish public records showed that Boatwright had lived in Sweden on and off from 1981 to 2003. When several Swedish people were asked about it, they said that he knew an American who was highly interested in medieval history. Photos of him being in Sweden as a child were also released. But after spending so many years in Sweden, he moved to Japan where he got married and became a father. After that, he moved to China where he taught English, and later on he moved to California. Doctors said that he was suffering through a dissociative fugue state where people get confused about their past events. Here too, the trigger is some form of a trauma. Boatwright had one son and two ex-wives. But when Boatwright was asked about them, he didn't remember any of them. There is a song by the Linkin Park band called Numb. There is a line in this song, "I have become so numb that I can't feel you there." Some people often feel that they are completely detached from their actions, thoughts, and feelings. They see themselves as an outsider. This type of dissociation is called depersonalization. A similar dissociation is derealization, where people feel that the world and the people around them are very unreal. Everything seems like a dream. Time either moves very slowly or very fast. These are serious mental health issues. But unfortunately, most of the films show them in either a scary or insensitive way. In Bhul Bhulaiya, there is a character played by Rajpal Yadav, Chota Pandit. He has a mental illness, but the film uses it as a comic relief. At the end of the film, a so-called psychiatrist treats him by slapping him. Even the main lead in the film, Avni, played by Vijay Balan. To treat her too, the psychiatrist uses strange methods. In real life, no therapist would approve of these methods. On the other hand, there are some films which portray the dead patients in a violent light, like Aparichat or Alfred Hitchcock's legendary film Psycho. They portray an extremely dangerous person. This illness is sensationalized for entertainment. Dr. Simone Reinders from King's College London says that because there's already a stigma about these illnesses in society, films that make dead patients look violent and dangerous only add to the problem. In real life, most of the dead patients are not violent. A 2017 research came to the same conclusion. A film that showed a dead patient in a sensitive and well-thought-out way was Karthik Calling Karthik. You might remember this film by Farhan Akhtar and Deepika Padukone. Apart from this, there is a Haryanvi web series called Opri Parai, which portrays the psychotherapist's rules of therapy quite well. How a psychotherapist creates an environment around the patient of safety, confidentiality, and trust. This shows some real-life techniques too, like guided imagery and Bandler's handshake that are used in hypnotherapy. After watching this video, I hope that you have understood this illness well. You must have understood that we should not create any stigma around mental illnesses. If someone has a heart problem, they go to a cardiologist. If someone has a mental issue, they should go to a therapist. This should not be about any person's ego. In real life, if a person is suffering from a lot of stress, anxiety, depression, or irritability, then it's possible that the root cause is some form of a mental illness. That's why it's always a good idea to consult a psychotherapist. And if you think that in real life, things like ghosts, demons, witches do exist, then open your eyes. We are living in 2024. The link to download the ebook Power of Universe is in the description below. Or you can scan this QR code. And if you are still not convinced by what I said, you can go and watch this video where I have talked about ghosts. Do ghosts really exist? What is the truth behind them? Click here to watch the video. Thank you very much.